Now our closer look at an alarming number of measles and mumps outbreaks nationwide. In schools from New York to California, where more than 16,000 children entered kindergarten without measles vaccinations. That's up 15% from last year and more than double the number 6 years ago. So are outbreaks sparked by parents choosing not to have their children vaccinated? Here's ABC's Dr. Richard Besser.
Your doctor probably wouldn't recognize this disease. Neither would you. But this rash has made a comeback. Measles.
I think when I was here 15 years ago, we weren't talking about measles.
Right, and most residents who are training have never seen measles.
A disease we thought was eliminated in the U.S., 51 cases so far this year here in California. Last year at this time, just 4. Measles is on the rise. Dr. Mark Sawyer has prepared a negative pressure room here in the ER at Rady Children's Hospital to isolate potential measles cases.
This machine cycles air and puts it through a special filter which takes out any infectious agent.
And he's bracing for more, because an increasing number of parents won't vaccinate their children or choose to delay vaccines past the recommended ages.
We're up to 4.5% of our children at kindergarten age who've not had all their vaccines.
That's a lot of kids.
It's getting up there.
And those kids are primarily from more affluent communities like Orange County, home to the Caricos and their 2-year-old twins who haven't had their measles shot.
If you think about your philosophy, your approach to vaccination, sum it up for me.
What's the risk? What's the reward? Right now, I find them to be at very low risk of contracting measles.
An increasing number of parents believe that there are just too many shots all at once. The Caricos girls have had some vaccines, but their parents are holding off on measles until just before they start kindergarten. Parents like them are counting on the fact that most kids get the shots, giving protection to the rest. Hillary Chambers has something to say to those parents.
That's not fair to everybody else. You're relying on everybody else to do it for you.
Outbreaks occur when travelers bring measles in from other parts of the world where the disease is more common. During a 2008 measles outbreak in San Diego, Hillary's daughter was exposed to a child who got measles from another unvaccinated child. Her daughter had to be quarantined for 21 days. This incredibly infectious virus often encounters an unvaccinated child in a pediatrician's waiting room.
Hi.
Not in Dr. Stuart Cohen's waiting room. He won't accept families who don't want vaccines into his practice.
I'm drawing a line in the sand.
Isn't it a parent's right to vaccinate their child or not vaccinate their child?
Would you send your teen out to drive a car without wearing a seatbelt? Would you go out on a boating trip with your family and decide who wants to wear life jackets and who doesn't? That's like playing Russian roulette. You don't know if that's going to be the 1 in 1,000 child that's going to die from that illness.
Dr. Besser is here along with Michael Spector from The New Yorker, author of Denialism, How Irrational Thinking Hinders Scientific Progress, Harms the Planet, and Threatens Our Life. Dr. Besser, I want to start with you. This is a fascinating dilemma. Two rights, two values here. One, individual rights, and the right of the community for public health. So my question to you is the public health concern so overwhelming that parents should be forced to vaccinate their children?
Well, I think it is. If you look at the impacts in public health, there's been nothing that has equaled that of vaccination. And the problem we have is that the success of vaccination programs means that no one is seeing these diseases. And so they don't understand what can happen if we move back. I think if you want to send your kid to public school, there should be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Your child has to be vaccinated.
But how do you do that? I mean, how do you force somebody to stick a needle in their kids? I mean, how do you do this?
I don't think we will be able to force people, and that's the problem. I agree with Dr. Besser, but the fact of the matter is, we're not going to be able to force people to stick needles in their kids' arms. And so we need to do a much better, more powerful job of educating to them because they think about risk in the wrong way. People think about risks of something happening. They do not think about the risks of what might happen if they don't do this vaccine. And those risks are great, and they're getting greater.
And you would say if you don't have a vaccine, you can't go to public school.
I think that's right. You know, the numbers in terms of under vaccination, about 4%, is not very great. Most people are doing the right thing, vaccinating on time. But you get these pockets where in some of these schools in San Diego, 20% of the kids are not up to date in their vaccines. That's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Okay, so give me the profile. Who are the people that are opting out and not vaccinating their kids?
I'm sorry to say there are people who are highly well educated, live near me in the People's Republic of Park Slope in Brooklyn, who think that their education status somehow exempts them from these problems that other people have. And infectious diseases are infectious to everyone. Viruses don't choose who to infect. And
They basically think they're smarter than the doctors.
well, I think they feel that the risk is so low that it's not worth worrying about, and there are other things that are worth worrying about more, and they're wrong about that. They're just wrong.
Yeah, I ran the training program in San Diego in that hospital that we saw, and the residents, the doctors being trained haven't seen these diseases either. And so they're often willing to give in to a parent who says, I'm worried, I don't want that shot in my child. And that's part of the problem.
Fascinating. Well, a lot more to talk about this in the future. Dr. Besser, Michael Spector, thank you for joining us.